So why are you out here today then?
David Kelly, Dr. David Kelly, from the Blair era. He was one of the foremost weapons of mass destruction in the world. So he was a doctor, and that was his specialty, weapons of mass destruction. He was supposedly, in his profession, the inspector's inspector. So everybody held him in really high esteem. He was a man of integrity, and that's why people respected him, as well as his knowledge, that he was just a really good person and he wasn't a liar, and if he said something, you knew it was factual. So he was asked by the Blair administration to make a report on the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq before the war. And when he turned in his report, they were trying to coerce him to change it so that he would say there were weapons of mass destruction. So he knew there weren't, so he wasn't going to change it. This was really troubling to him because they put such pressure on him. He spoke to someone at the BBC about it, and I don't know the facts, if they contacted him or if he contacted them, but they wanted him to comment on a rumor that somebody in the Blair administration had sexed up the weapons of mass destruction report to make it more acceptable and make it more in line with their line that there were weapons of mass destruction, and David Kelly refused. So they wanted him to comment whether this was true or not. And so somebody leaked his name at that point, and it could have been Andrew Gilligan, the one who was the BBC reporter. And then all of a sudden it was known that David Kelly, in the big world was known, that David Kelly was not supporting the government narrative. And then the pressure came down on him, and he had said, there's lots of dark actors in the shadows. One day you're going to find me dead in the woods because I disagree with them. And sure enough, he was found dead in the woods a week later, and he was cut with a garden knife at his wrist. Now, the wrist was cut across side to side. He was a doctor. He would know if he was trying to kill himself, the cut should be up and down from the knife, not horizontal. It should be a vertical cut if he wanted to kill himself. So there's that. Why would he cut himself in the crossway, which was ineffective for most people? There was also toxic drugs found in his system. So the jury's out because, of course, so much of the evidence is tainted. Nobody actually knows. Was he killed, or was he driven with so much coercion and so much psychological pressure and torture that he was a man driven to suicide because he wasn't in his right mind? Nobody knows.
Well, what we do know is that he did tell the truth about the weapons of mass destruction not existing in Iraq.
He was right. And they wanted him desperately to say, no, there were weapons of mass destructions, and recant his statement that he said there were not. But he wouldn't do it. So he paid the price with his life. So we're here today to honor that memory. 18 years ago, I believe it is, that it happened. And today we have to remember him, because this is more pertinent than ever today. Because look at how many scientists, if they are even scientists, that have been bought off by the government and coerced and corrupted with who knows what. Promises of fame and fortune, big huge payments, cushy jobs of authority in some sort of way that this was appealing to these people.
Research funding?
Yes, research funding, exactly. I think we might be thinking of Imperial College, just for one example. I mean, these people have been bought and paid for. Bill Gates has gone around the world with money bags and dished it out in every country. He's bought people in the health sector from every country around the world, so the narrative is the same. And you might notice the timing is always the same. As soon as one says something, oh, it's happening in every other country. How is that? And guess what? and nobody questions that. So these people that walk by that say, you are sick, or you're so stupid, or you're so irresponsible, how can you do this? How can you put yourself and all these people at risk giving them wrong information? They don't read any information. That's the problem.
Do you think that people in the UK are oblivious to the attacks that are going on whistleblowers, on free speech, on experts who actually have the courage to speak out? Because we've seen what's been happening to Julian Assange, we've got David Kelly, but then, you know, obviously they attack other countries such as Russia, which is seen as a bogeyman, and they say, oh, this is a terrible country. Do you think people are completely oblivious that their own governments might essentially just be doing exactly the same thing that they accuse foreign states of?
Well, as you and I know, whether it's the States or whether it's here, the same thing is true. In many countries, people take pride in taking part in their government, and they understand you don't give people a pot of money and expect them to do the right thing every day, because money corrupts people. If you just think you're going to pay your taxes and elect somebody and everything's going to turn out the best for you, I guess you kind of say you deserve what you get. Government is a participatory process. You have to participate. You have to be part of government. You have to ask questions. One of my favorite words is iconoclast. You know, you have to question everything. Oh, they say, you know, in 2008, I remember saying to this Israeli friend of mine, oh, well, something, because of the financial crisis, or whatever they called it in 2008, the banking crisis. And she said, what crisis? And I said, well, you've heard about it. She said, well, I've heard something, but I don't know that that's the truth or that that's fact. That's what somebody has said. But that is the way to look at it. Until somebody proves it to you, it's just like me saying something to you. You have to go out and do your own research. You know, it's like, it's not for you just to believe me or you or Boris Johnson. You have to question it and first of all say, oh, that doesn't sound right to me, or I'm going to check that. Now, you can't go someplace like Snopes. I mean, some people think Snopes is a fact-checking service. You know, Snopes is so bought and paid for, and controlled opposition, whatever you want to call it. You really have to look at the documents, and that's why I think my interest and my commitment to Julian Assange really started, because Julian Assange only publishes documents and footage. There's nothing about his opinion on any matters. He's only publishing footage. He's published more than 21 million documents, and one of my favorite quotes he's made is that his goal was to create a modern library that was made up of documents that would show us where the power lies in our societies. So that would enable us to take action to dismantle the current power structure and set up something for the people. So he's educating us without looking at these documents and following the money trail and connecting all the dots, seeing how everybody's connected. That's how you find out the truth.
Beautiful. Thank you.